right. Today has been your day. Have you had a nice time in Gathering of Warriors?
I've had more than a nice time. I've had a wonderful day, thanks to the family of my martial art friends. A wonderful day.
There were a lot of old friends that traveled a long ways to see you, and a lot of stories and a lot of fun. If you could say one thing that you're going to remember about today, what would that be?
The one thing that I would say about the day that I learned, that love comes in all shapes, forms, and fashion. And it didn't matter what walks of life we came from, we all came together today and showed a purpose to somebody that they cared and admired in life. And that happened to be me. It's not bragging, it's just I feel blessed and honored that people feel like that about me. That is a good feeling to have. And every man on this earth, whether he's in martial art or just taking care of his family, want his legacy to be that he was a good person on earth. And that makes me feel very good.
One thing, there's a lot of guys that were influential in you becoming the martial artist you are, and friends that are not here anymore. We have Hickson Sr., Hickson Jr., just a ton of great martial artists that are no longer with us. If you could say one thing to the future generations of martial artists that you, from your time in training, your thoughts on the martial arts and the martial arts way, one thing that they could take, wisdom that you have or that you think, what would that one thing be?
The one thing that I would tell any martial artist to keep with them is an empty cup. Because without your cup being empty, you will not be able to receive all the things that you're going to learn in the future and from the past. Do not overfill your cup. And what I mean by that, stop putting a lot of stuff in your cup that you don't need. Stop putting things that will overflow your cup. One of the things I talked about earlier today was you have a white uniform. One of the reasons why that they had the white uniform was to stand for the pureness of the art. They can't give you a clear uniform, so the closest thing to clear is white. You can see any spot on it, or any stain on it, or any bulge in it. So that way you can tell if a person has a weapon. But the object of that is to keep your mind open and clear. So that would be the one thing that I would say to them.
I know you've been a big supporter of the Gathering of Warriors and what we stand for, the cross-training and the brotherhood and the family of it. Would you like to say anything about Gathering of Warriors and what we've been doing with its program?
I would really like to say something about the Gathering of the Warriors. Here's what I've been saying about the Gathering of the Warriors. I don't toot somebody else's horn. I just give credit where credit is due. And one of the things that I realize is this. By you and Mr. Upshaw bringing the Gathering of the Warriors together, that is something that people have been trying to get together for years and years and years. It ain't as big as it should be, but it ain't as little as it should be. It should be bigger. But the situation is, without stuff like this, people will not understand the true meaning of martial art because they're stuck in one mode. When you go to a nightclub and go dancing, you might be dancing to something that you learned maybe a year ago. As soon as you turn around on the dance floor and spin with your partner and look over on the other side, they're doing a completely different than what you were doing last year. So the object of that is bringing these warriors together means this. There is no one thing that worked and there's no one thing that'll be wrong. Putting it together helps every individual in life make their dictionary of life. And I'm hoping that people understand what I mean by your dictionary of life. I'm not talking about fighting, punching, and kicking. I'm talking about being a better human being for yourself and for the people around you, and especially your loved ones, such as your wife, your family, and your children. And this is what some of the people are missing. They think this is all about tournaments and punching and kicking, and this is about a way of life. If you can put your uniform on and don't understand life, you have lost the whole meaning of martial arts. You've lost it. And if you can't be kind to your fellow man, then you've really lost a lot that you should have been trying to get. And I say that because an experience happened to me not too long ago, and I will kind of share this as short, but I will kind of share. Driving down the street one day, and a guy was standing on the side of the road, and he had a sign, I'm hungry, I'm homeless, I'm looking for money. And the person that was in the car with me looked on and said, man, I ain't giving them guys no money, man. They take my money, I don't know what they doing, and they probably just out here lying just to get some liquor or some drinks. So we drove on the way, and I looked at him, I said, that's not what that was about. He said, what do you mean that was about? They were just trying to get money out of us. I said, no. The object was this. If you see a man standing on the street, and he looks a certain way to you, and he's bumming from you, whether it's for the real thing or the fake thing, give him what you think you should give him. If you give him $1, that's your blessing. What he do with the dollar after you give it to him, that's not on you. Count your blessings that you got $1 that you can give this man. And some people don't see that. They see that, ain't getting my money, I work hard for my money. We all do. But there's a whole bunch of us out there that's having hard times. And we need to count our blessings. If I got 2 and I give you 1, that's got 2 of us that's got 1. Not just 1 that got 2. So that was a lesson that I had to show him.
All right, the last question I have for you is I just want you to take a minute. Is there anything that you would want as part of your legacy that you'd like to extend to your family?
Oh my God, I can't say enough about my family. We've been through the ups, we've been through the downs. Me, as a father, I got the greatest kids in the world. I know every dad says that, but I got the greatest kids in the world. We've been through the ups, we've been through the downs, but not one of my kids have put their mama or myself, and I will say it boldly, through hell and hot water. They've all been gentlemen, and they've all tried to make something out of themselves. I'm very proud of my kids. You know, they ain't perfect. Nobody's kids is. But when you got kids like that even though they're grown, in the back of their mind, they still hear mama and daddy talking to them. And I mean, they have their moments. Every kid does. You have kids, eventually, the youngest one that you got will grow up, and you'll be looking at her like, she's talking back. But it's not because she's losing the respect. She or him is coming into their own world. And you have to back up and say, okay, I got a young man now. I got to quit talking to him like I'm the dad and you the child. Yeah, you're going to always be his child, but you have to give him that room or her that room to become an adult with respect for herself and for you. So I'm grateful. My legacy is okay. And here's one of the great things about my legacy, especially with my kids. And I've been hearing this out of them ever since they were little, and they're grown now. When I say grown, in their 30s and 40s and stuff. But here's one of the things. Dad, I met somebody and they say they know you. They said you taught them this, you did this, you did. Never one of my kids ever come back and say, Dad, some girl said you raped her years ago. Dad, some guy said you stuck him up with a gun and robbed him. They say, Dad, you used to sell dope. Never one of my kids can say that about their father. I'm not perfect. I ain't the best dad in the world, you know? And one of the things that I used to tell my kids, and they still understand that today, I used to tell my kids this: don't ever buy me a birthday gift or a Father's Day gift. And they would look at, or a Christmas gift, and they would look at me like, why, Dad? And I would always tell them, my gift is you. As long as you and your brothers and sisters go out into the world and treat people right and do the right thing with life, that's my gift right there. All that giving me a Father's Day card or Mother's Day card, and then a week later, here come the police knocking on the door, we got your son and daughter for robbery. I thought you said you loved me. How would you go out into the world and do this to your parents? Now you want us to get you a lawyer, put your house up, worked all my life for you to tell me to put my house up in a day. Even though I can't make it down for them in a hot dog. I'm just saying. But I mean, no, it's wonderful to feel like that. That the stories that they heard about their father is not horrible, you know?
My name is Akira Takashi Yamashita, and Master Yamashita is my father. Okay. One of my favorite stories actually about my father. is we used to hate it as a kid. Me and my sister, we would go out places with my dad, and people would always approach us, and they would always tell us like, you know who your dad is, and blah blah blah. So as kids, and it was like every time we would go out. So as kids, you get tired of hearing it. And you're just like, okay, yeah, I know who my dad is. He's dad. Like, what do you want? But now being older, one of the greatest things I ever seen was we were out at a store, just clothes shopping, a regular day, and a gentleman came up to my father, with tears in his eyes, and he was just telling him how, he had saved my dad had saved his life, and by teaching him martial arts, and bringing that positive energy and that positive light into his life, and giving him something that he felt like, something that really changed his life for the better. So, now being older and understanding the impact that my father had on so many people's lives and things of that nature, it's honestly incredible. And even in those small moments that we thought were small back then as children, to realize how big those moments were, and even these classes and, trainings and things like that, and the life lessons that you learn in these classes, I mean, they are truly a part of his legacy, and that is something I'll forever be grateful for.
Hi, my name is Malia Holton. I'm doing an interview for and with my friend Sensei Jim Vallance. We are students of Nikya Yamashita from Nikya Yamashita School of Shotokan Karate, which is Japanese Shotokan.
My name is Jim Vallance. I started in 1972 with Yamashita, and have been with him and Mike Wayne ever since. I'm an 8th degree black in Shotokan, and don't figure on quitting anywhere soon. One of our friends from high school, actually, a guy named Don Sputnagel, took me to his class, and that's how we met. We were training with some gentlemen down at OSU and didn't care for it too much. Came down to Yamashita's class. I really enjoyed it, so I've been with him ever since. I was 15.
When I was actually 12 years old, Sensei Yamashita used to come to a school that was for kids in foster care, as he has done great community service in our community with the rec centers, teaching free classes to a lot of the students if they couldn't pay or afford to, pay for their uniforms. He always just wiped their feet, and he surely did it for the love of it. When I met him, I was a ward of the state, and we were in a place called Franklin Village. It was co-ed, and they allowed us to go down and play on their grounds Saturday and Sunday. And I chose to go to karate on Sunday. Well, I was Mike Wayne's student at the time. He was the one teaching at the rec center. And he brought Sensei Yamashita with him one day.
We were in the Hunt Fun tournament, and it was been back in the 70s, late 70s, pardon me. And he was at ringside with me when we were fighting in the competition. And I was like the third round that I had fought, and I ended up getting my ribs broken on that fight there. Went ahead and fought 2 more times after that, and took first place in that tournament for sparring, and learned a valuable lesson: never quit. He wouldn't let me. I'm very glad he didn't.
Well, one of my greatest experiences with Sensei Yamashita, we were taking a trip to South Carolina, Spartanburg to be exact. He's from Spartanburg. I was maybe 16 or 17 at the time, and it was totally fine with my parents, so we just hit the road and went in his old raggedy car that we loved. And he drove all the way to Spartanburg, South Carolina. We got to this hotel. He drove to the Oceanside first. Then he came back to Spartanburg. He wanted me to see the ocean. And so when we came back to the hotel, he was sleeping in his bed and I was sleeping in my bed. And he was sleeping like a baby. I was terrified because, I had never fought in a tournament, this size. Or he wasn't worried about it. He's done it a million times. Long story short, I just thought I was competing in kata there at the tournament. Well, they had brown belt and black belt division kind of, going together that day because I guess it was a small group of us at the end. Well, he snatches my brown belt off of me and puts a black belt on me and says, you go in there and fight. I'm almost speechless. I'm like, I'm not a black belt. I can't fight these people. They're way better than me. He said, you're better than all of them. You just have to believe that you are. And I believed anything he told me. He was like right next to God in my book. And he was so humble, and he calmed me down. And he sent me out there to fight. I fought one fight. I won that fight. I fought another fight. They threw me out for excessive contact. Well, Yamashita wasn't happy about that because we're black belts and there's no excessive contact in black belts. It's full contact. You know, you don't have to have headgear, pads, or none of that. Well, they threw me out because I punched her in the face. She had on glasses. I thought, well, this is karate, not ballet. You should have taken your glasses off. I felt really bad in the end I thought she was hurt, but Yamashita said, you pulled your punches. He said, you should be first place. He said, but your concern was for the girl that you thought that you hurt. He said, I'm proud of you for that. You weren't headhunting just to get that trophy. He said, you actually cared about, you had hurt that girl. I said, yeah, I was kind of hurt. I didn't get first place too.
We used to train at recreation centers in the Columbus area. And we got word that Yamashita had been gone into the office to talk to the director. When he came back out, he told us that it was a long time ago, it was a black-white thing. And they didn't want us teaching their kids. So it was an option of Yamashita could stay, but we had to go. And he didn't take that option. We all left. It doesn't matter whether you're white, green, blue, purple. It's the integrity of the people that you're with. And he is a very good man of integrity. I remember that because that was the first time I ever had any kind of racial contact type of thing like that. And it stayed with me all these years. I'm very proud of him for that. I always have been.
He's a very humble guy, he is. He loves to joke and play around, but when that gi goes on, no more monkeying around. He has set up a lot of time where he just comes by. He just happens to be in the neighborhood always when he drops by your school or recreation area, whatever center you're training in. It's just in the area, and that's like in our world, seeing God walk through the door almost, we hold him in very high regard. He has saved a lot of children through teaching at these public recreation centers through our city, and that sometimes kids can't pay. He don't care. It's not about the money. It's about, he really tries to get kids on the right track. And I'm one that he has saved from either prison or the grave. Yeah, I'm one of the statistics that got pulled back. So he's just always been a great person to anyone he meets. I don't think he knows a stranger. Mm-hmm. You can go to the farthest end of the earth and someone will say, hey, Sensei Yamashita! And I'm like, really? We're in Arkansas, But he's very well respected, and we're honored to got to have trained under him and with him. When I met him, he saved my life. He turned my life around, gave me something else to focus on. We've been through so much together as friends, and there's not just another person in the world that can touch people like he does. People think because, what we do is violent. It's only a means to protect yourself. There's not a better person in the world that will knock you off your high horse, break you all the way down, and build you up. He makes you stronger than you ever thought that you could be. And he pushes you to do your best and expects nothing but the best from you, especially women.
My name is Kenjiro Wayne. I've been studying Goju-ryu karate since I was 11 years old. Since 1953. Martial arts played a big, important role in my life because number one, it helped me through a lot of rough times. It helped me through Vietnam and combat situations where you had to pay attention. And it's pretty much kept me healthy. At the time of this particular interview, I'm 77 years old. I still teach classes. Martial arts has been, you know, pretty much a lifestyle. Well, Yamashita was my very first black belt. He was the first black belt I ever promoted. He was full of himself, and he ended up working out with a young kid who was about half his size. Kid sort of handed him his glute in a couple pieces, and it inspired him. He said he really needed to know how this kid had, you know, bested him, and he started in my class. One of the fastest learners I have ever been around. He picked up very quickly. He started to attend tournaments, and he was winning, but he wasn't getting a lot of respect because he was at the time an unknown. So he added a few things to his repertoire, like backflips and his katas. And when he introduced himself, you could hear him in Cleveland, from here in Columbus. He gradually built a very strong relationship with the martial arts world. I think we've been friends for so many years, since 1965, I believe. Yeah, 65, I believe. He was awarded his Shodan in 1969. He has been, I don't know how to describe our friendship. You know, we've been through it thick and thin. We enjoy each other's company. He's a true friend. He's just like family. He's just like my brother. One of the things that we both share, neither one of us drink or smoke or did drugs. Never started. And I've always admired that in him. A lot of my students struggle with that. They eventually get through it, but he was on the right track from the beginning. And I always told him to never rely on one person in life. You know, get out there. You know, if there's something to learn, go grab it. You may not identify it as important information at that time, but it may come up later. So don't ever deny a chance to learn. And he took that to heart. I mean, he was going around to different schools, different systems, learning different concepts of martial arts. And he also learned a lot about himself. You know, it was a period of self-discovery for him, and it's probably what made him so dynamic in his martial arts career, was the fact that he was open to learning. And it's something that I pretty much demand of my students, that they become lifelong students. He's been a part of all that. He's sort of been that beacon that guides the way, the Anjin, the needle watcher, the one who watches that compass and guides the way. I think the one thing that if you ask anybody about him, they'll say he tells some of the most outrageous jokes that ever came down the road. This is a true friend. I love him dearly, and I would never replace him with anybody.
Tokey Campbell. I teach Taijutsu Kaido Kempo Karate. I live down in the Monroe, Ohio area. This is going on my 50th year in martial arts. August 22nd will be the 50th year in martial arts. I had the pleasure of coming up here today. It's an event for one of my dear friends and an instructor that I truly respect, and that is Grandmaster Yamashita. He's a friend, he's a mentor, he's a guide, life to me. I had the pleasure of meeting him many, many years ago, probably maybe 25, 26 years ago. And it was at a competition, and I enjoyed watching just the power of his form, the gracefulness, the aerial athleticism that he had. He's just a wonderful person to be around. When you talk about martial arts, you talk about performance in a person. You talk about the ability to see the kata itself being ran. You talk about the form, the fire, the fight, the tenacity that's in the martial arts. And he represents all of that. I got a chance to talk to him. I got a chance to meet him. But when we first met, we were on bad terms because he accidentally bumped into me going to the restroom and did say, excuse me. And I thought he was an angry person, but I found out later he was getting into the mode to run kata. And if anybody knows martial arts, you get into a zone and your body and your mind just goes through a transformation where you're focusing on how you want to run the kata, how you want to run the bankai, what you want people to see, and you want your actual kata to be almost perfect. So I got a chance to meet him. He's a person that I took on in my life as a mentor. I had a dad growing up, but my dad died when he was about 45 years old. So in that transition, I picked 4 people to follow and look to as a mentor. And Yamashita was one of them who I missed dearly. I don't want to say that I'm scared of losing Yamashita if something does happen, but I want him to know that while he's living, I care for him, I respect him, and he's a true image of a man in my eyesight. I've met his sons, I've met his children, and they're great kids. So he gives motivation to a lot of people. The first time that I actually got a chance to deal with one of his students was Jim Vallance. I fought him at a tournament, and let's just say it was a good competition. I had a lot of fun, and Yamashita was in the process of telling the students how to beat me because of the speed that I have, and Yamashita would stop the match and he'd bring us back over and talk to us and stuff like that, or when they call timeout, he'd tell the guys, hit him, slow him down, stop his body, stop his movement. I got a chance to judge with Yamashita, and I learned a lot about judging from him because when you're judging somebody, you're looking for the fire, you're looking for the tenacity, you're looking for the focus, you're looking for the discipline, you're looking for proper stances, you're looking for the energy and the power. And sitting on a board with him allowed me to be a good center referee. I love refereeing martial arts, but I learned a lot of things from the upper echelons of martial arts around the area. For him to take me underneath his wing and teach me and guide me as a student and also as a father figure, it is a true heart-giving moment that I will always remember. If I have to say anything, if I do have to deal with a loss later on, it's going to be very rough for me because I called this man and talked to him on the phone and we laughed. He's met my brother-in-law, he's met my sister-in-law, he's met my wife, he's met my children, and all of them say the same thing about him. He's crazy. And I don't mean crazy in the sense where he's mental. He is the type of person that could cheer up any room.
James Cook, Meiwa Tangnam, Northern Praying Mantis Kung Fu. I've been involved in martial arts total time since 1957. Late 70s, when I first met him, I had just returned from Korea, and I had gotten out of the Army for my first stint, 10 years, and I had been training in different countries and all over the U.S., and I was an instructor for the military. I got out and decided to start my competition career, and one of the first persons I ran into was Yamashita, and we were at a tournament, and J.T. Will was the center referee, and we got on the floor, and he threw a back kick, and I ducked it, and I can just remember it felt like someone swung a Louisville slugger past my head. And after that, we had to rock and roll. And we had a great time. I got the best of him. And at first I thought it was luck because I hadn't really been competing here in the U.S. because of my being between Vietnam, Germany, Korea, Japan, so forth. He was feared by 99.9% of the competitors out there because of his ferociousness. But him and I somehow locked up and just became the best of friends, the best of friends. And I remember one time at a competition, it was like if you've ever seen the movie The Holy Grail, where one guy gets his arm cut off, then he gets a leg cut off, and they had a weapons competition where we got to pick our weapons, and the weapons were rubber coated and so forth. And he picked a samurai sword, and I think I picked a Chinese sword or something. And they put these buckets on our head, and they told you this, okay, if you get hit in the leg, then you've got to raise that leg up, and you've only got one leg. If you get hit in the arm, then that arm, and it was just like the Holy Grail. And we were laughing so hard at each other, we ended up falling on top of each other. And it was so much fun, because you bang upside the head. But I would have to say, what he did for me years ago goes beyond thank you. I had just then, back then, gotten divorced from my first wife, and we had a 1-year-old daughter. And somehow, a friend of mine was taking her daughter to a tournament and asked if she could take my daughter with them. And I said, yes, but please keep an eye on her. And somehow my ex-wife found out that they were going to be at the tournament, and she kidnapped my daughter. I called Yamashita, and he was at the tournament, but he didn't see what had happened. But then I guess the commotion started, and everyone realized that she had kidnapped my daughter. They got a private detective that found my ex-wife in Washington. Yamashita drove from Columbus to Steubenville, Ohio, picked me up, and drove nonstop to Washington to the address we had. And unfortunately, she was working at a Chinese restaurant, and someone from the restaurant apparently saw the Ohio tags. And just as we got in the door, she was gone out the back door. And it was about 3 years before I saw my daughter again, but we finally got her back. That is just something that will live with me forever. I mean, him just coming to my aid like that and doing that for me. And like I said, we've been like this ever since. You know, he'll come down to visit and visit me in Tennessee, and I'll come up to see him here in Columbus, and he's just one wonderful guy.
My name is Dan Distelhorst. I have a karate studio in Springfield, Ohio. We teach Kempo. Yamashita, or Yamashita, as I understand I'm supposed to pronounce that, has been a very impressive martial artist for as long as I have known him. And one of the first things that brought my attention to him was a demonstration that he did at a karate tournament where he climbed a ladder of knives barefooted. Evidently he had tremendous calluses on his feet, or definite mind over matter to do such a feat, because the ladder was like 5 or 6 feet tall, and he climbed up about 7 or 8 of those steps and back down. And I did compete with Yamashita at a karate tournament at one point in time. I had a good idea that he was going to throw a spinning hook kick and hit me in the right side of the head. When he moved, I made a hard inward block to defend against that, what I thought would be an incoming spinning hook kick to my right ear. But evidently, he read that I was going to try to block a spinning hook kick, because he turned his kick into an axe kick and dropped it on my right shoulder. Of course, he won the match. Now, there was another time that Yamashita was at a karate tournament, and he was sparring a individual named Rick Andrews. And Yamashita was well known for his backflips. And during that match, they had a clash, and while they were fighting, all of a sudden, Yamashita did the backflip. When he landed, and no sooner did his feet hit the floor, than I recall Rick Andrews throwing a roundhouse kick and striking him right in the midsection. We ran into each other at karate tournaments mainly, and over the years, he has attended many of Chris Benavides' seminars that he's held in his dojo or belt tests, so I've become even more acquainted with Yamashita through those devices. He's been made a very strong impression on me as to how I teach my students, if in competition doing kata, how to present their kata before they do it. Meaning, speak loud, make a definite impression on the judges that you know what it is you're about to do. If Yamashita were here, I would again say that he has made a very definite impression on my teaching of presentations of katas.
My name is Woodrow Fairbanks. I teach a system called Wu Sing Yi. It's a combination of the things I learned from the Okinawa Shiriro, Okinawa Kempo, and Chinese Kempo, Okinawa Kabuto and Chinese weaponry, Tai Chi, Sin Yin Pakwa. Okay, I was in judo. I was quite fortunate to start off with judo with my dad, and after my mother got tired of the house being disturbed, she sent me to another judo expert, Mr. Fields and Dr. Moore, for judo and karate. Because I was the oldest of 10 kids, so he tried to keep us in shape. And the purpose of the training was to help become a better man. That's how my training began, in a house full of love, not because I need protection. I went overseas and got my black belt in Korea, in Taekwondo, and I studied 8 styles of Taekwondo. Because teaching martial arts all day was my job. I went to jump school, and I went to the Airborne 101. Somebody recognized I had some other skills. I think my boot camp sergeant, I recommended for the job. And it was great, it was like a dream. To be able to travel, compete, win, and do what I enjoyed doing. And then I came home, and the city of Cincinnati hired me. I started in judo when I was like 5 years old. I then started in karate and the Chinese arts until I was about 12, going on 13. It was a birthday present. Then I've been in it since that time period. So make a rough count, since probably 1958. I know I've been a black belt over 53 years. Probably in the early 70s when I was competing and traveling to Columbus and different tournaments. I met him and watched him do his flips in the air, and we did forms and weapons, and had a great relationship, and I would bring my students so they could see a person jump up in the air and do a flip and land in the same spot with his unique ability. We competed and we enjoyed the relationships. And he was always a gentleman and respectful, and he always showed me that respect, and I honored the respect in my students. And so that relationship grew, and as we grew, we became better and better friends. To this day, God has blessed him to be the same person, and a personality that attracts people. Deep inside, the dedication to the art, we both had the same thing going for us, so you kind of like try to get around people to believe in some of the same things, and that's respect and dedication and respect for other people and God, and to be able to share this knowledge, but share it for the right reason. So, and that's what I liked about it. Whenever I was running, it was always a great time. Okay. And that's how I developed friends and relationships. First through the art, to beat them in competition, and second, we became friends as a man. Be able to sit down, eat, and talk, and hold some positive ideas. And the ability to pick up the different systems and share, and the ability to see a man put his all into what he's doing and work hard at it and dream at it and be the best.
Bob Kienle. I've been studying Shorin Karate for 25 years, easy. Started out with Mike Hickson, Jr. And that's where I met Yamashita as well, through Mike Hickson Jr., through tournaments and training that he had with Mike. Most of it was through interaction and seminars and classes, and I got a great deal out of that. One of the biggest probably things he gave to me was one of his students I trained with for a very long time in Shotokan, Bobby Kramer. So I trained with him in Shotokan for 5 years when I worked second shift. So it's amazing how he kind of touched me in a couple different ways, through his students and then through his seminars and his teachings when we would have classes, group classes together with Master Hickson.
So I've been studying consistently under Master Davis since the early 90s. Well, I've seen him around numerous times at tournaments and around Master Davis and around Chris Benavides. But really didn't know him. I knew of him just in passing. About 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, Master Wayne had his 24-hour event that he holds and asked me to come up and do a seminar on Sanchin Kata. I showed up. Master Yamashita was doing a seminar ahead of me. I joined in the seminar. His energy and his power and his absolutely amazed me. From that point on, I made an effort to make sure that I talked to him every time I saw him, and that's how we became acquainted. What I found so interesting with this event was, as I contacted people and as I got a hold of the different instructors and the different people who wanted to be here for this, I really got a charge out of it, because as I told my class last week, I said, when I was a kid, I grew up doing martial arts in small garages and churches that never lasted very long. Well, one of the things that I would do in between trying to find some place to study was I would go into a magazine store in Springfield, and I would look at the Kung Fu magazines, I would look at the karate magazines, I would read the katas. I couldn't even afford a magazine back then. I'd put it back in a rack, go outside, and try to do these katas. Well, one of the things that I can remember are these names that were here today that were in those magazines. I can remember that time in my life, that was when these people were just, they were well known and being written about. So the things that I've learned since starting to put this event together has been pretty remarkable.
My name is Chris Benavides. I am the head instructor for Team Benavides, MMA and Valley Tudo, plus I'm one of the co-instructors of the Willow Road Dojo. I've been in the martial arts since 1976. I began my training in Kempo, karate under J.T. Will and Dan Distelhorst. I moved on to Shotokan, Jiu-Jitsu, Aikido. During my time in the Marine Corps, I was afforded the opportunity to train in many different styles. I am 50 years old. I first became aware of Yamashita at a karate tournament many years ago at one of Don Madden's tournaments, probably in the 70s, maybe 76, 77. And the thing that stood out the most was that he walked in a pair of wooden getas, which are Japanese sandals. And he clicked around like Hashimoto. It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. And he proceeded to do the Shotokan Kata Empi. And then at the end of Empi, he did a backflip. And it blew my mind, like, whew. And I was like, who is this guy? I didn't really formally form a tough relationship with him until I began training with Kenjiro, Michael Wayne, and Goju with Marcus Raleigh. And Yamashita was one of the staples at the dojo. We really hit it off well, and he's become family ever since. Had a lot of adventures. I'd say one of my favorite is the flying burrito. We were at a Don Madden tournament. I went up with Carl Davis. Yamashita was judging, and I was judging also, and there were a couple guys there. couple young black guys, and they had cut off bees, and they were doing a weapons kata with an axe. They'd flip the axe around a little bit, then look at us, and then do it again, and then look at us, like they were trying to see if they'd done enough to win the division. Anyway, they got scored really, really low. So went over to the black belt fighting. These fellows were fighting. They were fighting with some of the Don Madden team members, and Yamashita was the head ref, and they were kind of trying to make the fight kind of racial. The guys they were fighting were white and they were black, and it was really, really getting kind of out of hand. So as the center judge, Yamashita kind of told him, hey, knock it off, you're a black belt, you know, we're just supposed to be having fun in a friendly competition. And they, of course, got smart with them and said something else. So the fight ended, and Yamashita had come over and talked to me and Carl. And one of the guys came over and tried to take a swing at Yamashita. At that point, I flew through the air like a burrito and landed on top of the guy and put him in a rear naked choke and choked him unconscious in the center of the gymnasium. Carl and Yamashita were tapping on my shoulder saying, he's okay, he's out. The thing I remember the most is Don Madden walked across the stage, and it was a Christmas turn, and he goes, ho, 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 and he just laughed. It was really, really a unique time. We really had a lot of fun together.
My name is Tokey Hill. My style is Shotokan, an American Siakan, Karate Do. I'm a native Chillicotean. I'm from Chillicothe, Ohio. I've spent the last 28 years in New York, and I have a training center in Long Island and also Chillicothe, Ohio. Well, I mean, probably the most important thing is understanding what Karate Do did for me. I started late in karate. However, karate saved my life. And there was a juncture in my life where I had to pick the left road or the right road. And I was fortunate enough to run into people like Yamashita, Don, all these different people that had such an influence on my career, but more importantly, on my life journey. There's a lot of them, but I don't know if I want to put them on record, but every experience for me has been a great experience. I always had difficulty academically because I had a disability. I was very hyper and active. The normal process of learning was very difficult for me. So karate gave me that confidence and that self-esteem to be able to go out there and try to do what I've done. Again, if it wasn't for the martial arts, who knows where I'd be today. Well, you know, today is a really special day, and I think what we've lost is a lot of history. And why I say that is you got people that are here today that at one time, especially in Ohio, was actually a melting pot for athletes and competitors. But more importantly is the knowledge that these instructors had. Now they're masters, this, that, and the other thing, but you know, we have to harness that knowledge, and we got to keep that knowledge. And you know, whether it fits you personally or not is irrelevant. You know, you still have the knowledge base of where this master, grandmaster, Sokey, whatever you want to call them, came from. And today it was an honor for me to be here. I'm really happy I could make it. I've seen a lot of people that I came up through the martial arts world with, and a lot of these people gave me the tools that I needed to take my career and my life story where it's going now. There's so much history, you know, I've had so many great experiences with him. It's just, he'll always be my brother.
My name is Grandmaster Rick Moore. I've been in the martial arts since 1965. My current rank is 10th degree Judan belt. a black belt. So I've been studying over 50 years. Met Nikya Yamashita in tournaments, of course, and to see him compete in his forms, which was amazing to see this gentleman perform. His kata is like poetry in motion, you know, it's like the facts and forces that determines movement. And a lot of people come to the competition to see Nikya Yamashita compete in his forms. So I tried to mimic the best competitor, which he was the best competitor at that time, to compete against him as well, to make my form look the way his does. And it took years and years of training and practice for me to develop my own form, which is, I call it Go-Ju-Sho. And it was approved by the ASKA, which is the American Shorin Karate Association, and it was patented. So that kata alone helped me compete against Nikya Yamashita. And sometimes I won, and sometimes I didn't win, you know, in the kata. Nikya Yamashita and myself, we competed all over the world and in the same division. And he always said to me, we're both lightweight divisions. So he said, why don't you fight middleweight division, I fight lightweight division, then we meet each other for the grand champion title. And I would say to him, no, I'm fighting lightweight because I'm a lightweight fighter. And he said, well, okay. And then, so, you know, he would win some, I would win some, and then next thing you know, we're fighting someplace out, I think somewhere in California, then Florida, then we just fought all over the world. And he used to say to me all the time, don't you ever stay home? And I just laugh at him, and I just say, well, you know, I'm here, you know, just like you are, trying to be the best that I can be, on the quest to be the best. Yamashita is someone that touched many lives, like all of us martial arts. To see people, children, men, women, grow up to change their lives and become better people, better students, better husbands, better wives, better business people, to help this world to become a better world. If we save one person, we have done our job, but we have taught 10,000s of people. So we're just trying to pass on the legacy and the art to make the people be the best that they can be, showing by an example now. Yamashita knows how my heart is. He's like my brother, my friend, my mentor, my advisor, my sensei, my teacher. We always say, see one, teach one. I love you from the bottom of our heart. And we always put God first place to let everybody know where we come from. And we come from each other to make us be the best that we can be, to pass it on to each other's brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, and just continue on doing our good works.
Nikya, we've known each other for a long, long time. I would never trade our friendship for $1 million. I hope you're the best. I love you dearly, and I hope things continue on a positive note for many, many, many years to come. And thank you for being in my life.
Yeah, I'm going to miss coming to a tournament if something happens to you and not seeing you there, because you're the first person I look for, because I want to laugh coming in the door. If I'm competing, I want to get comfortable and relax, and you've always given me that relaxation. You are the joy to have around as an adult, because you tell adult jokes and you tell kids jokes. But I will tell you this, you have always been a joy to be around. You made my life more easier in the martial arts industry, because when people say negative things or this or that, you straighten them out. In competition, I watch you coach and mentor at the same time. If a bad point is called, you stop the ring in a heartbeat. And I know some words are going to come out, and they're going to be positive words, but you're going to tell everybody, fight from angles, get in a position where you can see everybody, get yourself set up so the point is clear. That is gold in textbook Yamashita. If I had to write a book on things that Yamashita would say, I'd probably have 3 things he would say. First thing you would say is, shut up, I'm talking. But you do it so gracefully where nobody is offended. Second, you like to win, but you're teaching others how to win and also how to accept loss at the same time. And third, you are loved by so many people because of the joy and heart and the value that you displayed in the world of martial arts. I almost broke down in tears today just walking in the door because I didn't know how to say, I'm here to celebrate you, but I'm also here to make sure that you know while you're alive that I love you as a father figure, I love you as a friend, and as a true martial artist. You will always be something in my life that I can say I truly enjoyed experiencing martial arts with the industry, the world. When Chris made a phone call to me and said, hey, this is something I want for Yamashita, there was no second thoughts. I didn't have any other place to be here today except for here with you, that I want to share in your joy. Continue to grow, and if you're not going to be around, you're going to be in God's home one day, hopefully not soon, but if you're going to be there, do me a favor. Don't change up in heaven either. Us.
Nikki, I love you. You're always going to be with me, and I'm always going to be with you. You need it, you call. Because I know if I need it, I can call you.
As your son, somebody who's watched you very closely, who's been around you more than most anyone, I can say that I appreciate the things, you know, through the ups and downs and all the things that we went through as father and son, regardless of what everything may have seemed like on the outside. I've always loved you, I've always admired you. You were always my superhero. You know, you were always somebody I looked up to, always somebody who I aspired to be. I aspire to touch people's lives the way that you touch people's lives, and hope that one day I can be as immortalized as you are right now, even living. Like I tell people all the time, my dad is an urban legend. Like my dad is something that's hard to explain, because even if I start to, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to believe what I'm saying. But these are things that I've not only witnessed, but things that I've seen and heard from other people. And I appreciate you for instilling that want to be more than just here and now, but to leave a legacy, a positive legacy in the lives of people that I may or may not even ever see. And I appreciate you for leaving an awesome legacy within me and my siblings as well.
I'm a firm believer of you're part of whoever you meet. I'm glad I met you. You have helped make me the person I am today, and I thank you so much for that. You are a phenomenon.
And I just want to thank you for being in my life. You're more than a friend to me. You're my family. And I love you so much. And I just wish the best for you. And I'll always be here for you, no matter what you need. I love you, Yamashita.
Master Yamashita, you're a good person. You've always been a good person. And I've always had a great relationship. God has blessed us to always share and be positive. So I'm going to continue loving you with the energy that I have until I go to heaven. And I want you to continue doing your thing with your family, your friends, your teachers, and being you. And that's what I like about you. You're always you. And I like the fact that you're able to stop an event and tell people, look, this is why we're here and what we do, and you need to learn the rules and regulations of what we do and quit judging people. If you was in the same spot, then I like how you present that to people, and continue living your life as you are, and that's what's important, being you. And you have mastered that, and one is God is more important than anything else. So it's been an honor.
Master Yamashita, you've meant the world to me. In the short time in the Gathering of Warriors, of course, it's been incredible having you teach and telling your stories and your lessons that you've learned over the years. But also through the tournaments that I did with the Hicksons, you were always there. You always had interesting things to tell me about how I did, why I was so tight usually what it was, when I relax a little bit. and just everything you've given to karate. And through your students, you can see the love that you have for the art. And I thank you very much.
Sensei, I just want to thank you for all that you have done. I want to thank you for the people that you've touched. I want to thank you for the showing what a true martial artist is. You've touched so many lives and so many people. That's what being a martial artist is all about. Thank you for everything that you've given.
And I want to thank you, Yamashita. You'll always be my brother.
I want to say I love you from the bottom of my heart, and keep on thinking positive and being just you. Domo arigatou gozaimasu, Nikya Yamashita.
Domo arigato means I thank you very, very much. Oyasumi nasai means good night to all. Oyasumi nasai.